Not long ago on Woodworking with Wes, we built 2 rustic cherry nightstands for the guest bedroom in our home. Today we're going to build the dresser that matches. And we've done a beautiful job here building this dresser. It matches the same style. I want you to grab your tools and get started with us as we build this dresser to make a complete bedroom set. I'm going to include how much money we spent for materials and how much money you can save. It's big. Let's go. To get started, we start with our whiteboard like we do on most of our projects. This is the drawing for our dresser. It will be a 4-drawer dresser. The cabinet is 42 inches high, but it does have a 3-inch base underneath. Our 2¼ face frame will go around it, and it's 36 inches wide. I've listed my face frame parts down here, just 42 and 36 by 2¼ pieces with a 45-degree corner, almost a picture frame look on our face frame. Our sides, 18¼ by 42, and we've listed out the rest of our cut parts. And so we're going to go ahead and get started. Now, I've already done some of them. I've already got my sides and my tops just cut to width. That's all I've done is cut them to width. And I've put a rabbet joint on the back to accept a 1/4 inch back. We're getting ready now to cut our 45-degree angles where our panels will come together at a 45 degree. So when it comes up over the top and down, let me turn like this so you can see me. When it comes up over the top, so the top is here, sides are here, this joint along the top will be a 45-degree joint because we're just putting together the plywood veneer pieces so that there's almost a seamless look with our corner. But let's go ahead and cut those 45s. We're going to be setting the angle on our saw blade with our little digital readout angle indicator. This is a great little addition to the shop. I've showed you this before, but what you do is you put it on your tabletop, you zero it out, and it has magnets. Then you stick it to your blade. Now it says 90.1, but it should just say 90. And then what you do is when you set your angle of your blade, you set it down to 45. I'm going to have my camera watch, and you can see the numbers change as we go. Okay, there we are, 45 degrees right there. Okay, all right, let's get set up and get ready to cut. You can see that we've got a nice 45-degree edge and a nice sharp clean edge on our veneer. We'll go ahead and cut the rest of our 45s and get ready. Okay, after I have made my initial 45-degree cuts on the top and the sides, I reinstalled my blade with my indicator at 90 degrees, and I cut these to the true length that they needed to be, 42. My top was 36 from long point to long point on 45, so I did that while I was cutting 45. After I did that, I installed my stacked dado set, and you can see these are my sides, and this is the inside opened up like a book of my dresser. These are the 2 sides. I have made a dado that corresponds with each cross piece that I need. This bottom dado down here is for the floor, and each one of these additional dados are where our dividers between our drawers are going to go. Now, there'll be a piece of wood in there, and I need to know how big that piece of wood is, and I'm going to show you a little trick that I use. You take your 2 pieces of wood. These are awfully big, but I want to show you. You take the 2 pieces of wood, you put them back to back, and you hold them like this, and you measure the distance of this solid material. So if I put my tape measure across there, I can't do it because I'm holding onto the wood, but if you put the piece of tape measure across there, I've already done that, and that equals 1 inch. Those two solid pieces there from bottom of dado to bottom of dado equal 1 inch. So my cross pieces that I need to do, my dividers between my drawers and my floor that goes on here, those pieces need to be 36 minus 1 inch. So they'll all be 35. Now I had them written down originally at 34 3/4, and I did that because I knew it was going to be about that. But after making my measurements, 35 is the correct measurement. So now I will go ahead and I will cut my floor and my dividers that I've indicated here on my sheet, 14 or my floor and dividers. I will now cut those 35 in length instead of 34 3/4 because I was able to take my exact measurement on my dados that I put in. So now we can go ahead, we can cut the bottom and dividers. Let's do that. With all of our parts cut out now, let's go ahead and put our face frame together first. I'm just showing you this joint here, this one corner. I'd commented that we were going to do it in a picture frame style with a 45-degree corner. We're going to go ahead and assemble it just like we would do any face frame. We're going to use our Craig pocket jig and drill pocket holes and screw it together with pocket holes. I always clamp it down to my bench so I've got a good solid hold on my wood. Here's my drill bit. And there's our pocket holes drilled just like that. We'll go ahead and drill them all and then we'll put it together. And just like when I am drilling my holes, I always use my clamp to clamp down tight against the table when I'm putting the screws in to give me a nice flat pocket screw joint. Those pocket screws pull that joint together, and with plenty of glue that makes a nice tight joint. Okay, and there is the face frame to our dresser. Okay, let's work on the inside of our dresser before we start assembling. This is the inside of our dresser. We're now getting ready to put some structure on the inside to make some support structure for our drawer guide. Now, I made a small video, and I'm going to have a link to that video that shows how it all works and how it goes together. Basically, what we're doing is we're putting some structure here that will support the drawer guides and will allow us some additional structure to make sure everything comes out nice and square. I'm going to go ahead and get this all nailed together, and then we'll come back and we'll start assembling the dresser. We now have our mounting blocks for our drawer guides in. We've glued and nailed these in. We're also going to use these to help us mount or to assemble our cabinet. Now, this dado right here is for the floor of our dresser. So let me just set it in here. We would put some glue in here and some glue across the bottom of this piece right here. We would set it in like that. I would take a couple of clamps and clamp this into place, front and back, and then put some nails in here, and that would anchor it securely without putting any nails through the edge of our cabinet. When we get ready to do our dividers between our drawers, the same thing. This is a divider that is going to be between the drawer. It would go right here. This edge right here is flush with the face so that the face frame can sit in here. So this would go right here, clamp here and here, glue, clamp, nail, underneath, and I would just work my way up as I put those pieces in. This is a back piece, a back support piece that will go the same way. Glue, clamp, nail, and work our way up. I'm going to go ahead and get these all put in and then come back and have you see what it looks like when it's all done. Because it's a situation where I'm going to be all over in the way, it doesn't really make a very good indication of what I'm doing by trying to watch it. But let's just take a look at what I'm going to do and then come back when it's done. Okay, see you in a minute. We've allowed our glue to dry. You can see all of the clamps I had on all of the upright pieces. We're going to take all of these clamps off. You can see that I did one half but not the other half. What we're going to do is we're going to take all these clamps off. We're going to move the other side over here, and then we're going to roll it over. I want you to watch and see how we do that, because it was going to be almost impossible to do both halves at once, but it is possible to do each half one at a time, and so we're going to show you how. We've taken all our clamps off. We're getting ready to roll it over, but because I'm going to have to put my glue on first, I'm going through here and I'm gluing all of the areas that I have to glue prior to rolling it over. And so it's a little different than I did before. When I did it before, I glued each piece and then put it in separately. Now I've got to do all the gluing at the same time. It's a little messier, but this is the inside of our dresser, and a little extra glue and a little extra squeeze out isn't going to hurt anything. So now watch as I roll this over. Okay. We're going to just take this here very carefully. We're going to come over here, and you can see how our slots kind of line up, and we're going to stand it up like this and see how that just now I've got to come around here and get everything lined up. Okay, look at that. See how that lines up? We're just going to push it into place. And we're going to do just like we did before. We're going to move this all into place like this. We're going to clamp it and nail it. And we're just going to go down the row and make sure that each piece is in place first before we put some clamps on it. And I've got to work kind of fast. So let me just go ahead and get this done, and we'll come back when this is all nailed together. We now have both sides glued in with all of our pieces for our dresser, and we're now getting ready to put on the top. Now, when we had done the nightstands, we glued the nightstand sides and tops together with blue tape. Because of the size of this and because of the way it goes together, that isn't going to work. So what I did is I put in 2 corner blocks, and we're going to just put a lot of glue along our miter and across the top of this corner block, and we're just going to clamp this all together. There's going to be no nails holding it. It'll all be just done by glue, and we're going to use plenty of glue. If there's squeeze out on the inside, we don't care, because it's the inside, and we'd rather have too much glue than not enough. So let's go ahead and put the glue. I also have 2 clamps here that I have ready to go. Once we get this all put together, we're going to make sure that all of our clamping pulls these corner seams, these real tight little corner seams. Let me tip this up so you can see. We're going to want this 45-degree corner to be clamped tight so that it's all nice and smooth and crisp along this edge. So let's go ahead and get ready with our glue, and our clamps are ready, and let's see if I can make this happen. Okay, like I say, lots of glue down our 45, and then extra glue along here where our block is going to be. Rub a little bit on there with my fingers so that it spreads it around a little bit, and a little extra. Like I say, too much glue is better than not enough. So let's okay, I think we're About just got enough glue to make it messy. So let's tip it up here. All right. Now I'm going to take 2 small F clamps and I'm going to clamp that inside block on there like that to hold it that way. Then I'm going to take my big bar clamp Okay, that's working pretty good, like that. And another one down here. Okay. Okay, that's doing exactly what we wanted it to do. It's pulling that corner nice and crisp and tight, and nice and crisp and tight. Okay, I need one more clamp. Now I'm putting a clamp down the side to pull this bottom edge in tight. Okay, like that, like that. Flush across the top, corner tight. Success! We'll let that dry. With our cabinet all put together, it's now time to put our back on. Now I've cut the back square, and we use the back always as a means of squaring or making sure that our cabinet is square. So let's go ahead and set it in here and test and see how we did. Well, we did really good. I'm flush along the top and I'm flush along this side. That's perfect. That means our cabinet was good and square. And I didn't think that we wouldn't be because of the way that we build our cabinet with our blocking and bracing and everything like that. I knew we would be, but I just always make sure. We'll nail the back on by using 3/4 inch small crown staples. We'll just staple along our dado and then along the bottom, and that'll hold it in good and square. Okay, I'll go ahead and get the rest of it done. The next part is to install our face frame. Now, these 3 dividers here already have the face piece on them. And so you can see how our face frame fits down around and brings all of this level up to the same surface so that our drawer faces will be inset inside this configuration that we have right now. Now, I'm going to install the face frame by just putting glue around the edge of the dresser box itself, putting the face frame down on it and face nailing with 1.5" 18 gauge brads. I'll go ahead and get that done and then we'll come back. While our glue and putty dry on the main body of our dresser, we're going to go ahead and assemble the drawers. Now, we have several videos on drawer assembly, but basically I'm just going to go over it with you again. These are our sides, front and back. We're using 5/8 Baltic birch. Our assembly is just going to be straight butt joint, 1.5" 18 gauge nails, making sure that everything lines up like that. Nail on the other side. These are the very simplest kinds of drawers to make. I use these in my kitchen cabinet business for years and years, and really they are surprisingly strong. I never had to go back and repair a drawer that didn't hold up. just the nature of the way that it goes together and the material we use and the nails. I never had one come apart. I never had one fail. And it just really is a good drawer construction method that is fast, easy, and relatively inexpensive. And makes a nice drawer. Okay, all right, we'll go ahead and finish this up. Nail the bottom on with 3/4 inch small crown staples, and then we sand out the top so that it's nice and clean, and the drawer is done. After we allowed our putty to dry on our cabinet, we sanded all of the edges and the face of everything. We routed the interior of our drawer openings and around the outside of our cabinet. The drawer that we had built, we finished sanding it out, routed the top of it so that it's all nice and smooth and ready to go. And we've installed our full extension drawer guides and put one drawer in so that you can see how it works. We're now ready to sand the drawer faces and get those put on. Let's take a look at that. Well, we went ahead and got the rest of our drawers put in, and we put our drawer faces on. Now, I want you to reference back to our little video that we did on our nightstands to show how I put the drawer faces on. We did them the same way here. We've got our drawer faces ready to go, and we're getting ready to put some handles on. We're going to put 2 handles per drawer. Let's go ahead and put a couple of handles on, and I'll show you how that works. We're going to be doing 2 handles per drawer, and so I made a jig like this. These holes will be where I drill my handle holes. And I made the jig so that I can flip it around and do side to side, and it'll space my handle the same from the side and down from the bottom, and it'll make my drawer face or my drawer handles even. And then I just take my jig and I drill just a little pilot right there. Okay, and there's my handle hole, finished drill. Let's put the handle on and see how it looks. Okay, just like that. We'll go ahead and get the rest of them put on and come back and take a look. Well, we have our dresser all put together now. We're ready for the oil finish, which we won't do on camera. But anyway, it's already done and ready to go. It's a great little dresser. It's going to match those nightstands that we did. Now, on our nightstands, I told you how much they cost. They were $70 a piece to build. That's the cost of materials. The material cost on this dresser was about $325. So time you get all done putting it all together, you're just less than $500. We went online and we just kind of did some market comparisons. A dresser and 2 nightstand bedroom set would be anywhere between $2,500 and $3,500, depending on who you're buying it from and what kind of materials. Really good materials like this, probably more to the $3,500 range. So you can see that you can save a ton of money by building your own furniture. And if you watch us here, you'll learn how. We'll see you next time on Woodworking with Wes.